Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey and welcome to another top 10 video. In this list, we will be doing the top 10 things for Iron Men to do when they're starting out on their accounts. So you may or may not know about all 10 of these things, but they are all super beneficial, especially for Iron Men, and things that I would highly recommend doing if you haven't already. So some of these will be focused on making money, some of them Slayer, some of them collecting stuff, but all of them are going to really help out your account if you do decide to make an Iron Man and help you reach your goals faster. So let's go ahead and get into this list and show you guys what you should be doing as an Iron Man. So number 10 on this list is Fletching, and the reason why I included Fletching is this is a really great way to start off with making some money. You can just cut these trees, it's quite easy, make yourself some bows and sell those bows to the general store for a decent amount. You'll see how much these bows sell for in just a second, but I managed to make myself around 25k cash just getting to about level 35 Fletching, and took maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. It wasn't that long, and that is some pretty solid cash. There are better ways to make money as an Iron Man, but there are no better ways at such a low requirement levels. So when you've just brand new started an account and you need some cash just to buy a few things, this is a really great way to get those first few pennies, although I will be showing you guys a better way of making money later on when the requirements of it are not too high. So as you can see there, the bows that I made from just 30 to 35 Fletching sold for 12k, and that's really not that bad considering it didn't take a whole lot of time and it was quite easy. Number 9 on this list is farming, and if you decide to do a lot of combat, Slayer, stuff like that, you will be getting a lot of herb seed drops, and it is kind of difficult to get herbs as an Iron Man, so planting those seeds is a really great way to do that. But before you can actually plant any herbs, you need to get your farming up a little bit. So you can go to Draenor Village Market, as I showed there, and buy some seeds. You can only buy some of the basic seeds there. There's no herb seeds, no guam seeds, unfortunately, so you will only be planting allotments initially. However, there is a pretty easy way to get some basic herb seeds that I will show you in just a second, but you will level up farming very quickly at a low level, and you can go around and check your patches about once every 20 minutes or so and just plant your allotments and all that and get your farming up, which you will need later on when you start to farm more complex stuff. And now when you actually want to get some herb seeds to get started, you can buy the first 3 seeds, which is Guam, Terramin, and Marintil, which are really cheap and really easy to obtain in this minigame, which is called Vinesweeper. I wouldn't really recommend playing it for any other seeds since they're a lot more expensive, but you can buy the basic ones for hardly any points. So what this game is it's just Minesweeper in RuneScape. So if you know how to play Minesweeper, it's a really old computer game that used to be on Windows all the time. I actually played it a little bit back in the day. It's quite easy. All the numbers on the ground represent how many seeds are right next to that specific spot. So with some basic process of elimination, it's not too hard to find out where the seeds are, and you'll get points every single correct one that you have. And how you get to this place is just teleport on any leprechaun to Winkin's farm or whatever it's called, and this is where you end up. Number 8 on this list is the Combat Academy. You can find this place in Lumbridge, and what you do here is you go through a pretty basic tutorial on how to do combat, and after you do that, it takes like 15 minutes or so. It's really not that long. You get a whole bunch of XP books, which you can spend on any combat skill, which I would not recommend, but you can also spend them on Herblore or Prayer, which I would recommend, and that can be a really easy way to get some XP in 2 skills that are quite difficult to train on Iron Men, so this is definitely worth doing. Number 7 on this list is crafting. I decided to include the entire crafting skill and not just a specific crafting method, even though the method I'm showing is really good for low level Iron Men to make some cash, and that's because as you get into the later levels, there's some even better ways of making money, especially as you get into crafting Dragonhide armor and Batwing and stuff like that, which can alch or sell to the general store for a really good value. But what you can do is kill cows, make it into hard leather, and make hard leather boots, and these sell to the general store for 300 GP each, or you can alch them for 400 for a low alch or 600 for high alch. So these are just complete bank when it comes to money for Iron Men just starting out. They only require 27 crafting to make. What I did is I just made bowstrings, which can also come in useful later on when it comes to fletching higher level bows. And then look at that, 408 hard leather boots only took about an hour's worth of work to get, and that's 130k, so that really helps out a lot. It's a very easy way to make some starting cash, and a really great method that already a lot of people know about it, but if you don't know about it already, make sure you take advantage of that. Number 6 on this list is Slayer. I'm not sure why, but I feel like Slayer is going to be very overlooked by Iron Man accounts, but the reason why Slayer is so good is not necessarily the skill itself, but all the drops that you get. You'll get a ton of seeds, noted stuff like herbs and logs as you progress onto later Slayer levels, and you're just going to collect a lot of raw materials, which will come in incredibly handy while training your other skills. and it's also a great way to get all your combat skills up. Yes, this is RS3, where you can use all 3 combat styles for Slayer and be pretty effective because monsters have different weaknesses. So train up your attack, strength, defense, melee, and range, all while just doing some Slayer tasks and get a whole bunch of herbs and stuff along the way that you're going to need to collect anyway. Might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 5 on this list are D&Ds. Don't forget to do these. Even though it's an Iron Man, you still have access to D&Ds. More specifically, when you're first starting out in Iron Man, the 2 D&Ds that are going to be the most beneficial towards you are going to be Troll Invasion, which you can do in Berthorpe, gives you a fairly hefty amount of XP that you can use on any skill. I decided Herblore because Herblore is tough on an Iron Man. And you can also do God Statues, which is a way to get some really easy construction and prayer, or Slayer, although I don't know why you'd choose Slayer over prayer XP, and it only takes like 5 minutes to do each of these. There are some more D&Ds that you will be able to access later on as you unlock them. Tears of Guthix is a good example for this, but you need quests and some stats to do that quest to actually unlock that. But as you progress, just make sure you do D&Ds because skills are harder to train on an Iron Man, so you're going to want to take advantage of every bit of free XP that you can get. One thing that I feel that all Iron Men should take advantage of is the Nexus, and this is a piece of content that you can do at level 1 prayer, and it will pretty much get you from level 1 to 43 prayer, provided that you take advantage of the grotesque, which is a thing that pops up in the middle. You banish it and you get some bones, which grant a pretty hefty amount of prayer XP. It's a really easy activity. All you do is go in the center, collect the Nexus juice or whatever they want to call it, and then empty it into the correct bowls that people will be calling out for you to do in the middle. And a lot of people have been doing this on World 2, so that's what I would suggest, because you do need other people to get the best amount of XP. If you don't have other people, you will not be witnessing the grotesque at all, and you will not be getting those extra bones from him, which grant a pretty hefty amount of XP. So that's what you want to be doing. It's really quite easy, and it only takes like 2 hours to get to 43 prayer. Also remember that you can click after every single time you see an XP drop when you're emptying in the Nexus juice to the bowls, and this will get you much better XP per hour. That's just a little handy tip that I picked up while I was doing it. So even though Project from Melee maybe isn't as useful as it once was, it still is pretty nice to get it completely free without having to do much effort at all other than just hang out at this place for a couple hours. Number 3 on this list is Miscellania, and this is probably the highest level content on all of this list, and you do have to do quite a few quests to actually reach this, but this should be one of your first goals on any Iron Man because the amount of raw resources you can get from Miscellania is just ridiculous, and it saves you so much gathering time. So if you have not unlocked Miscellania, and I imagine most people haven't, you should really make yourself a goal to start working towards that and get it as soon as possible. And yeah, it does take a lot of cash, but I think it's well worth it in the long run. And number 2 of the most important things that Iron Man should prioritize is questing. And yeah, that's pretty much encompasses all quests because the vast majority of them are going to be very handy in one way or another. There are a couple that are probably pretty questionable whether you should do them or not, but even the quests that don't necessarily give the best rewards are often used to unlock better quests later on down the line. So whether it's just working towards unlocking Miscellania or whether you want to go for Fate of the Gods done or one of those master quests, then you really should start questing as soon as possible, and you'll get a ton of levels from this. And as you can see here, I got myself some Pathfinder armor just from doing a bunch of the beginner quests, which is really handy. So doing the path and all the quests that entails doing, you can reach the path by pressing F3 on your keyboard and it'll bring up the menu where it shows all of that off. That can be really handy as a way to get some really early on armor, and you'll get tons and tons of XP rewards, especially quests like Waterfall Quest, for example, which get you from 1 to 30 attack and strength right away, and also all the lamps that you'll get from questing, which you can use on more difficult skills such as Herblore or Prayer or something like that. Overall, questing just really opens up the game and grants you a ton of easy levels that would be probably much more difficult to obtain without it. So here we go to number 1, and surprise, it's Dungeoneering. And the reason why I value Dungeoneering so highly on Iron Man accounts is because this is a great way to get up some of those initial skill levels. While you're DGing, you can fish, and you can chop logs, and you can burn stuff and get those skill levels up really quickly without having to grind through the menial tasks in the overworld. And also you will slowly but surely work your way towards the best weapons in the game that you will have access to unless you are able to solo Raxor with them, or unless you go completely balls deep and go for Ascension crossbows. So probably for most people that are doing Iron Man, these are going to be your best weapons in the game, and we're talking about chaotics here. So even though Iron Man can only access solo DG, which is still kind of a sore point for me, and I think that should be looked more into, this is just a great way to get started on an account when it comes to skills and all, and something that almost everyone should prioritize, because DG can be fun even though it's solo, and you will get lots of fishing, woodcutting, cooking, all sorts of levels while doing it, so it's really worth it. So that's about all for this Iron Man video. Hopefully at least one of these tips was helpful for you, even though most of this is low level content and pretty common knowledge, and if none of it was, oh well, there's always next time. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to suggest the next top 10 that I should do in the comments below. Most of these have been based off of user comments. I actually have not come up with too many myself because I am an uninteresting person, but I will see you guys tomorrow with the next video, and farewell.